The process starts, basically, you have an amputation. You're in the hospital. Generally speaking, it takes about 12 weeks to heal, on average, where we start molding the patient and getting them ready for the prosthesis. So most people are fit between 12 and 15 weeks with their first initial prosthesis. During that first 12 weeks, as they have the amputation and they start healing, they're usually out of the hospital right away. It's not a long, extensive hospital stay. They're usually discharged a couple of days later. Usually a week or so later, the stitches are taken out, maybe 2-3 weeks. Some physicians will they'll prescribe the socks right away while the stitches are still in. Most don't. Most, it's when the day the stitches come out, then they're sent to our office and we wear what's called a shrinker sock. When you start wearing your shrinkers, we normally do a 2-week follow-up. So we'll see you 3 or 4 times before we ever even start molding you for a prosthesis. And we have these conversations, we answer questions, we talk to the family. You'll continue to wear the shrinker sock until you get your first prosthesis. And then you'll probably wear the shrinker for a few weeks after you get the prosthesis. And really what the shrinker sock is designed to do is limb management. If we don't do anything, that limb's just gonna continue to swell. So as a new amputee, and this is why it's different than what I call a seasoned amputee, so you're gonna probably around week 15 get your first prosthesis. The day you get your prosthesis is gonna fit wonderful. Usually, depending on how much you walk, 6 to 9 months, just the socket is replaced. Most people keep whatever components they have, whatever foot and stuff like that, because their functional level doesn't really change much. And you don't have what I call enough miles on it. It's kind of like a car. You don't get rid of your car if it's only got 7,000 miles. So the lower part of the prosthesis, most people retain that. But then we're replacing what we call the fit, or the interface. And the interface is where we go from your leg, or your residual limb, to the prosthesis. To me, that's really the most important part of the prosthesis. You know, you can have the best components in the world, you can have the greatest technology. If it doesn't fit good and it doesn't feel good, then that's gonna limit how well you walk. The next socket usually lasts a little bit longer, maybe a year. And then the third socket or the fourth socket, depending on how big they are when they initially get fit, how much they walk, they may shrink out to the fourth socket or so in the first 2 or 3 years. After about year 3 up to year 5, that's when most people's limbs mature, what I call mature. They kind of stabilize, they don't really change a whole lot. So then we'll say year 5, you get a prosthesis. You may wear that prosthesis for 3, 4, 5 years. And again, it depends on how many miles you put on it. So long term, that's what I tell people, when you 10 years down the road, you'll come in, you'll get a prosthesis, and you may not see your prosthesis but maybe once a year, and you're probably replacing your prosthesis on average every 5 years. As a new amputee, it's a little different. We're gonna see each other a lot. Your fit's gonna change because your limb's gonna change. But in general, it should be really comfortable. Now, that being said, if you don't really know, that's why we encourage all the follow-ups. And we'll change things, we'll tinker. And I encourage patients to tinker. As you're walking, if it feels good, you get to the back end of Walmart where the milk is and you go, I'm starting to feel something. Most likely it's a sock plot. You've walked, you've pumped fluid out. So I encourage patients, even if it's not hurting, try different socks. Oh, that feels better. Try another sock. Oh, that feels better. Try another sock. Oh, that's too tight. Well, now you've just increased 2 ply. Experiment with it. You'll be surprised, especially as a new amputee. I tell people, they hear me communicate that and they think, okay, I got my prosthesis today, it's Monday, and Friday afternoon I may need a 5 ply sock. And that's not the case. Here's your prosthesis today, and by the time you get out to your car, you're gonna need a 5 ply sock. That's how fast you shrink. And that's where most new amputees make their mistakes. They understand that their limb's gonna change, and they understand that they're gonna have to somehow change that interface. They underestimate how quick it happens. It happens in 50 steps, 100 steps, 200 steps. We just try to keep you as comfortable as possible so that you get the maximum benefit of that prosthesis. And then the day that I think that's lost is when we replace the socket or we replace the prosthesis. The process starts all over. Only difference is you've gone through the process. You know exactly what to expect. That process goes much faster because, again, you know what it's supposed to feel like, what it doesn't feel like. What I want you guys to know is talk to me. Come in. If it doesn't feel right, you don't think things are good, we don't charge for follow-ups, those kind of things. Come in. A lot of times it can be a minor alignment thing. Literally, as you go through this experience, we can turn a screw a quarter of a turn and it makes all the difference in the world. But I think a lot of patients too, they feel like they're bothering us. They come in, they get the prosthesis, like, well, I don't want to bother Mike, he's busy. And that's not the case. That's what I'm here for. I want your prosthesis to be the best it can be. So I encourage you, to make follow-ups, to come in periodically as a new amputee especially, and let's just see.